It's TKL season, and I have one here that has two interesting features. The first one is aimed at reducing case hollowness by studying the way concert halls remove echoes. The other feature is to optimize sound while still keeping the flex. Now, were they able to nail it? Let's take a look at the Y-8 by Keyno. Now, the Y-8 is currently in group buy at Wuque Studio and will end on February 6th. The standard kit starts at $349. Links to the product can be found in the description that do help the channel. Now, speaking of helping my channel, it seems like a lot of you are watching but forgetting to hit that little subscribe button down below. If you dig the content, please consider subscribing and joining the Clackbait family. Now back to the Y-8. So the first thing that caught my eye with this keyboard is the internal weight. It uses this waffle pattern, which was inspired by the design of concert halls' echo walls. In theory, it works by absorbing the sound waves and reducing noisy echoes. We'll go over this during the sound test segment to see if it actually helps or not. Both internal and external weights are made from brass, and they offer a heat colored version which looks really nice. It will, however, spike the price up to $399. Now, the version that I have is an early rushed prototype, and it has some issues with the clear coating. I reached out to them and they said this will be corrected for the final version. Now, included in the Y-8 kit, you will get a carrying case, and you get the Y-8, which comes in E-cream, E-pink, black, silver, burgundy, dark green, purple, and this unfinished raw, which looks really dope. Unfortunately, you can't pair the heat treated weights with the raw finish, so keep that in mind. The internal waffle brass weight along with the external weight and badge are all included in the kit. Then there's this, a 1mm PCB that's missing something. Yeah, no flex cuts. As I've said in so many of my videos, flex cuts are great at giving some isolated flex, but it really kills the sound characteristics of a keyboard. I admire Keyno for removing them to maintain the sound. It is, however, super thin, so even if you're using 1.2mm stabilizers, you will need to use the provided shims to keep the stabilizer housings from wobbling. Usually I install the shims underneath the PCB, but I found that the only way to keep the stabilizers from wobbling was to install them right underneath the stabilizer housing on top of the PCB. So yeah, keep that in mind. So the hot swap PCB comes in a fixed layout, and they also offer a solder version if you want to get freaky with it. The kit also comes with case foam, plate foam, and switch foam. A daughter board is included with these interesting daughter board stickers or band-aids. This will help secure the wire in the JST channel below the weight. The kit will come with an FR4 plate and a half plate, and there are plenty of extra plate materials to choose from. In today's build, I went with the FR4 plate. Polycarbonate with the 1mm PCB may be a bit too much flex for my body to handle, if you know what I mean. The Y-8 uses gasket socks, which are really straightforward to install. The only thing you'll need to know is the dotted or thicker side faces down. The case is made from 6063 aluminum, and it has an overall clean design. It's not very flashy, and it uses geometric elements such as bars, squares, triangles, and trapezoids throughout the case. There's a small accent bar underneath the navigation cluster, which looks nice in the heat-treated colors, although kind of hard to notice. There is a seam that runs around the front and sides of the board, but it's not distracting and doesn't take away from the aesthetics. Now, there is a narrow opening that shows the mid case and adds some flair to the side profile. The USB-C port is centered with Keyno engraved at the top and bottom, and the bottom trapezoid weight looks pleasing to the eye sockets. The edges of the case are chamfered and slightly rounded, including the inside of the layout sections. Overall, I think it looks good. The typing angle is 8 degrees with a front height of 18mm, making this very comfortable to type on, even without a wrist rest. Fully built, the board weighs as much as a newborn baby. The typing feel is bouncy even using an aluminum or FR4 plate. This is obviously due to the 1mm PCB and the gasket structure. Overall, I think you'll be pleased of how it feels to type on. Now, from a sound perspective, in my opinion, the Y-8 doesn't need any foams. The lack of flex cuts gives you a fuller sound than most keyboards hitting the market today. I'm really hoping to see flex cuts left behind in 2022. So let's see. There is one thing though, I'm not sure the PCB really needed to go down to 1mm. I think keeping a 1.2mm PCB would still give you that flex, but would give it an even fuller sound, as well as make the stabilizers easier to mount. I decided to use regular pole length switches to see if the internal waffle design weight really works. Long pole switches tend to hide hollowness, so I used the marshmallow switches, which are lubed and filmed. Now 80% keyboards tend to show more hollowness, especially between the arrows and the F row. I'd say this keyboard does a good job of controlling that, so the waffle design may actually be working here. I'd love to see them continue to develop this waffle design moving forward. They could be onto something. Take a listen. So the board does sound nice with no foams, but my favorite configuration is with plate foam, as with most of my keyboards. Take a listen. Overall, I think this is a nice keyboard with some interesting features that I haven't seen in a keyboard before. I think this is a good first attempt by Keyno, and with Wuque running the group buy, I'm hoping this will be delivered on time. Design is clean and I think it's fairly priced. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Y-8. I'm out. Peace.